Hello, I'm Brian Young, and today we're going to be doing 00102 construction math. Um, we're going to look at the book, go through it, and then I'm going to do examples of each of the different types of problems. Um, I'm going to try to separate the video into paragraphs so that you can find what you're looking for easily. Because you're probably already familiar with a lot of the concepts in this chapter. All right, let's get started. Introduction to Construction Math. Successful completion of this module will prepare you to do the following. Identify whole numbers and solve basic arithmetic problems with them. Name fraction types and calculate with fractions. Identify decimal numbers and calculate with them. Name the common length measuring tools and use them to measure lengths accurately. Name common length, weight, volume, and temperature units in both the inch pound and metric systems and convert them into other comparable units. Classify angles and geometric shapes as well as calculating their area or volumes. And then there are some performance tasks that your instructor is going to ask you to do. Using a measuring tape, measure lumber pieces in both English and metric units. Using a measuring tape, measure a room-sized space in both English and metric units. Using a measuring tape, determine a short inside measurement in both English and metric units, and add English measurements that include fractions. So let's get started. I'm going to try to break this video up into chapters so that you can locate just the parts you need. You're probably very familiar with a lot of the concepts in this chapter. Whole numbers. A whole number is a complete number without fractions or decimals. So 1, 2, 3, 27, 115. Those are whole numbers. A fraction is a portion of whole number represented by two numbers. The upper number of a fraction is called the numerator, while the bottom number is called the denominator. Decimals. The part of a number represented by digits to the right of a point called the decimal point. For example, in the number 1.25, 0.25 is the decimal portion of the number. In this case, it represents the fraction 25/100ths, or 1/4. Place values of whole numbers. We've all been counting for a long time, but we may not realize that the very furthest to the right digit is the ones digit. It represents how many ones there are. There are 7 ones in this number. 5,316,247. There are 7 ones. There are 4 tens, which makes it 40. There are 2 hundreds, so it makes it 200. There are 6 thousands. There's 1 10,000. There are 3 hundred thousands, and there's 5 millions. So when we read the number, we read from left to right, use comma separators every 3 digits. It's 5,316,247. So positive numbers are to the right of the 0 on a number line. Numbers greater than 0, for example, 1, 2, and 3 are positive numbers, except for 0. Any number without a negative sign in front of it is treated as a positive number. Negative numbers are when you're going to the left of the 0 on the number line. Numbers less than 0, for example, -1, -2, and -3, those are all negative numbers. And if you're not familiar with the concept of negative numbers, it's I have a bill, I owe this company $100. So that's -$100. I have to take $100 out of my bank account and give it to that company, those are negative numbers. I have to get rid of $100. So it says, did you know the following are whole numbers? 1, 5, 67, 335, 2,654. But the following are not whole numbers. These are fractions: 1/2, 3/4, 7 1/8. That's a mixed number with whole numbers and fractions. And 0.45, 4.25. Those are not whole numbers. Whole numbers never have a fraction or a decimal. 1.1.1. Study problems. Place values of whole numbers. Look at the following description of a number. This number would be written as the digits in the hundreds place is 9, the digits in the one place is 4, digits in the thousands place is 3, digit in the tens place is 6. So digits in the one place are 4. The very right-hand number is going to be a 4. So we have 3 examples here of a 4 being in the far right. The tens place is a 6. So right now it's 64. The hundreds place is a 9. So it's 964. And the thousands place is 3. So it would be 3,964. 3,964. So A. In the number 25,718, the numeral 5 is in the thousands place. There's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. The 5 is in the thousands place. An estimate for a commercial flooring job requires 1,693 square meters of carpet to complete the floor. Written as a whole number, this value is 1,693. B. Project supervisor estimates that a commercial building will require 16,500 feet of copper piping. That's B, 16,500. And lastly, an engineer estimates that the total cost to install a building's HVAC system will be $322,907. $322,907. C. Okay, let's move on. 1.2.0, adding and subtracting whole numbers. So the way to add whole numbers is to line up the digits in the top and bottom number by placing the value by the place value column. So you want the decimal points to line up so that the first column is the ones column, and the second column is the tens column, the third column is the hundreds column. So this is 723 plus 84. So 3 plus 4 equals 7. 8 plus 2 equals 10, and we're going to have to do something called carrying the 1. 3 plus 4 equals 7, and 8 plus 2 equals 10. Well, we'll write the 0 in the 10, and we'll put the 1 for the 10 above the hundreds column. The reason for that is we're not adding 8 plus 2, we're actually adding 80 plus 20. So 80 plus 20 equals 100. So we write down the 0, we put the 10, or the 1, up here in the hundreds column, because 80 plus 20 equals 100. So now 7 plus 1 equals 800. Add the 7 already in the hundreds column to the 1 carried over. The resulting sum is 807. Some problems may require several carries. See the example on the left. So here we have 66,723 plus 5,784. 3 plus 4 is 7. 8 plus 2, again, that's 80 plus 20 is 100. 8 plus 2 is 10. We'll write the 0 in the 10. And we'll carry the 1 over to the hundreds column. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. We'll write the 5. We'll carry the 1 over to the thousands column. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 is 12. We'll write the 2. We'll carry the 1 over to the 10,000s column. 6 plus 1 equals 7. So we end up with 72,507. If any of these concepts are difficult for you, you may want to take a remedial class, talk with your instructor. Not everybody can be good at everything. Some people are better at some things than other. If you need help with your math, don't be too afraid to ask. Don't be embarrassed. Go talk with your instructor and get some help, because this is something that you want to master in order to be a construction worker in the field. Okay? All right. Now we're going to do subtraction. To subtract means to take away the quantity of one number from the quantity of a second number. The result is the difference. Difference is the result of subtracting one number from another. For example, in the problem, 8 minus 3 equals 5. 5 is the difference between the two numbers. So here we have 12,766 minus 1,483. Well, we're going to have to borrow. 6 minus 3 equals 3, but we cannot subtract 8 from 6. 6 minus 8 is actually -2, so we run into a problem there. We have to make this 6 a 16. It says, as with addition, start with the right column, the ones column, subtract the 3 from the 6 to get 3, and record it under the ones column. Move to the tens column, noting that 8 cannot be subtracted from 6. Solve this problem by borrowing a 1 from the hundreds column. To borrow, cross out the 7 in the hundreds column, change it to a 6, and bring a 1 over to the 6 in the tens column. So now, 12,766, this 7 becomes a 6, 600. And we took the 1 and put it on top of this 6. So now instead of being 6, this is 16. And we can subtract 8 from 16. 16 minus 8 equals 8. Now we can go on to the hundreds column and say 6 minus 4 equals 2. 6 minus 4 equals 2. And here in the thousands column, 2 minus 1 equals 1. And in the 10,000s column, believe it or not, there's no number in the bottom. There's no digit in the 10,000 space, so it's a 0. There's nothing there, so 1 minus 0 equals 1. So 12,766 minus 1,483 equals 11,283. Okay. We're going to do some of these problems on the whiteboard. 1.2.1 study problems, adding and subtracting whole numbers. So, calculating a bid for a roof restoration, a contractor estimates that $850 for lumber, $460 for roofing shingles, and $170 for hardware. What is the total cost of materials portion of the bid? I'm going to try to do something clever. I'm going to split my screen and I'm going to have a whiteboard on one half. Let's see if I can accomplish that. Okay, let's see if we can do what I think I can do. I'll try. It says, in calculating a bid for a roof restoration, a contractor estimates $850. I'm going to write that down over here. $850 for lumber. $460 for roofing, and $170 for hardware. What is the total cost of the materials portion of the bid? So we're going to add these together because all of these are expenses. We want to know the total expense. When they use the word total, it's addition. If they use the word difference, it's subtraction. All of my ones column are zeros. 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0. 5 plus 6 equals 11, plus 7 equals 18. Now it's 18, so I have to write the 8 and carry the 1 over to the hundreds column. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 1 is 14. So I'll write the 4 and 1. So it's $1,480. That's our total. Okay. Now let's see what we have here. Brazil's currency is called the real and is identified with the R dollar symbol. A plumbing contractor allots 10,236 reals to complete 3 residential jobs. If job number 1 will cost $2,477, job number 2 will cost $2,263 reals, and job number 3 will cost 3,218 reals. How much money remains to handle unexpected costs? Well, a remainder. Now we're talking about subtraction. So we're going to subtract. So let me erase. Let's see, where's my eraser? I need to erase what's on the board. There. And then go back to my pen tool. So let's write those down again. It says 10,236. Now, we have a total of 10,236 reals. And we have 3 numbers to subtract from the 10,236. We can do this 2 different ways. I could say 10,236 minus 2,477 and come up with a total, a remainder. And then I can take that new remainder and subtract 2,263 reals, and I can find the remainder. And then I can take that new remainder and subtract 3,218 reals. Or I could add these 3 together, and I think that's what I would like to do. I'm going to add 2,477 reals plus 2,263 reals plus 3,218 reals. So let's add those 3 together. Those are the expenses. 2,477 for job number 1. Job number 2 is 2,263. And job number 3 is 3,218. And they want to know how much money do we have left for unexpected expenditures, costs. So 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 8 is 18. So again, I'm going to write my 8 and carry the 1 to the tens column. 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 6 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So we'll write the 5, and we'll carry the 1 over to the hundreds column. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So we'll write down the 9 there in the hundreds column. I didn't have to carry anything to the thousands column. So we'll add 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So my subtotal is 7,958 reals. And I started with a we started with a bank of 10,236 reals. So I will subtract the 7,958 reals to find out how much we have left for unexpected expenses. And here again, look what we have. We have 16 minus 8, because the 6, you cannot subtract 8 from 6, so we're going to change this 3 to a 2. We're going to borrow one of my 10s and put it over the ones column. So 16 minus 8 is 8. 2 minus 5, well, we can't subtract 5 from 2. So we'll do the same thing in the hundreds column. We're going to borrow one of the hundreds, and we're going to call this 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. And now 1 minus 9, I can't do that, so I need to borrow one from the thousands column. But look, my thousands column is a 0. I can't borrow anything from 0. If I don't have anything in my bank account, I can't cash a check. If I don't have any money in my wallet, I can't buy a sandwich or a soda. So I'm going to have to go to the 10,000s, and I'm going to borrow that 1 from the 10,000s, and I'm going to put it in the 1,000 slots. Now I have 10 in the 1,000 slot, and 10 minus 7 equals 3. Actually, I'm sorry, before we do that, I have to borrow 1 from the 10 and bring it over to the hundreds, because I only have 100 and I have to subtract 900 from it. So I'm going to take this 10, and you know what? I'm going to change my color here. I'm going to change this 10 to a 9. And I'm going to bring that 1 over to the hundreds column. Now I have 11. I have 2 1s. 11 minus 9 equals 2. Let me go back to my original color. 11 minus 9 equals 2. And now I can go to the thousands column, and I have a 9 minus 7 equals 2. There, I'll put my comma in. So what we ended up with is 10,236 reals minus 7,958 reals equals 2,278 reals. Okay, very good. And like I say, if this is anything that is giving you trouble, go to your instructor and ask for remedial help and remedial work, and they'll be happy to help you accomplish your goals. Okay. All right. So let's go on. Let's see what else we have here. An HVAC contracting company sent out 3 work crews to complete 3 installations over the past week. If crew number 1 worked 10 hours, 9 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, and 9 hours, crew 2 worked 9 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours, 9 hours, and 9 hours. And crew 3 worked 12, 12, 10, 9, and 11. So let's see. What are they asking us? How many total hours did the 3 crews work for the week? So that means we have to add all of those up. And that's quite a few numbers to add, but we can do it. We can do it. We have 10. Oops, where's my, we have 10 plus 9 plus 11 plus 12 plus 9. That's crew number 1. Then we have 9 plus 12 plus 12 plus 9 plus 9. And that's crew number 2. Crew number 3 worked 12 hours, 12 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours, and 11 hours. So that's crew number 3. So we'll add these 3 columns of numbers, and then we'll add those 3 totals together to get the grand total. So 0 plus 9 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 9 is 21. I'm going to write a 1, and I'm going to carry the 2 over to the tens column. Write a 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So crew number 1 worked 51 hours last week. Crew number 2 worked 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 2 is 13, plus 9 is 22, plus 9 is 31. So I'll write the 1, and I'll carry the 3 over to the tens column. Now we have 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So crew number 2 also worked 51 hours last week. How's that for a coincidence? Crew number 3, I think they worked the most hours of all of the crews. They've worked 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 0 is still 4, plus 9 is 13, plus 1 is 14. We'll write the 4, carry the 1 over the tens column. We'll add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So crew number 3 worked 54 hours last week. So now, I wonder if I can scroll up a little now. Okay, so I have 51 plus 51 plus 54. And I'll add these 3 numbers, and that will give me my grand total. So 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 4 is 6, and then 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15. I'll write down the 15. So my grand total is 156 hours. That's how many hours the 3 crews worked last week. 156. Okay. I'm going to go on to the next section. If you have any difficulty with this, again, contact your instructor, and they'll be happy to get you help, assistance with your math. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to make this just a little smaller so we can read it a little bit easier. Okay. I'm kind of blocking the road here, aren't I? Okay. Let's go on to the next page. Multiplying and dividing whole numbers. Let me move forward. There we go. There's a new page. Multiplying and dividing whole numbers. To multiply 2 numbers means to add those numbers that many times. If I said 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, we could say 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. Well, I can say this a different way. If I'm adding the same number, I can say 3 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've added 3 4 times. 3 times 4. That equals 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. So let's see what they have to say here. Multiplication quickly adds numbers to itself numerous times. For example, assume 6 different people gave their crew leader $8 to pick up lunch. Adding $8 times 6 gives the total amount. However, multiplying 6 times 8 to get a product of 48 is easier and faster than trying to add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. We'll just say 6 times 8. Product is the result of a multiplication problem. For example, the product of 6 times 6 equals 36. The product is 36. Product is the result of doing the multiplication. So what we want to do when we're doing multiplication is line up the first digits, top and bottom, position the larger number on top. This arrangement makes the task easier but has no effect on accuracy. So if we have what their example is, let me turn the page here. Their example is 374 times 26. So when we multiply this, we would multiply the 6 in the ones column times the 4 in the ones column. And we would write down the ones column in the answer. So 6 times 4 equals 24. I would write down the 4 because that's the ones column. And then I would take the 2 and I would put it over the tens column above the 7. 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4 and carry the 2. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus that 2 that we carried earlier makes it 44. So I would write the 4 from the ones digit underneath, and I would carry the 4 from the tens digit, and I put it over the 3 in the hundreds column. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus that 4 we carried earlier is 22. And I would write down that number, 22. Now we're going to do the same thing with the 2, but look where the 2 is. It's not in the ones column. It's in the tens column. So we can't start writing our numbers, our answer, in the ones column. What we're actually saying here is 20 times 4. And 20 times 4 is 80. It's not 8, it's 80. So we have to put a placeholder right here in the ones column of a 0. Just write a 0 in the ones column, just to remind yourself that no other number will be written in the ones column when you're multiplying by 20. So 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 7 is 14. We'll write the 4, and we'll carry the 1. I'm going to scribble that out so we don't get confused. I'm going to write the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 1 we carried earlier is 7. Now we're simply going to add these two numbers together. 2,244 is 6 times 374, and 7,480 is 20 times 374. So our answer, our total, is the sum of these two. 4 plus 0 is 4, and 4 plus 8 is 12. We'll write the 2 and carry the 1. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus that 1 that we carried is 7. And 7 plus 2 is 9. Now we have to put our comma in. 1, 2, 3, we'll put a comma. 9,742. So 374 times 26 equals 9,724. Okay, so let's see what they came up with here. Start with the ones column, multiply the 6 by the 4. 6 times 4 equals 24. Write the 4 and carry the 2 up to the tens column. That's what we did. We did well. Multiply the 6 times the 7 and add the carryover. So 6 times 7 equals 42, plus we added that 2 that we carried earlier, 44. That's what we did. We wrote that, we wrote the 4 and we carried the other 4. I scribbled it out later, but that was a 4. And then it says multiply the 6 by the 3 and add the carryover. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus that 4 equals 22, and that's why we wrote 22 here, okay? Next, multiply, and then we write that down. Now multiply each digit in 374 by the 2 in the 26. Multiply the 2 by the 4 in the ones column. Write the 8 in the tens column. Remember, that's why we put that placeholder. We put that 0 in there, that placeholder, in order to remind ourselves that the answer of 2 times 4 is 8 is written in the tens column to help keep things aligned. Write a 0 in the ones column. There we go. Multiply the 2 by the 7 in the tens column. 2 times 7 is 14. Write down the 4, carry the 1. Multiply the 2 by the 3, and then add the carryover. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 equals 7. So we wrote a 7. And now it says complete the operation by adding the two products to get the final product of 9,724. Very good. We did good. Division. Let's talk about division. Division is the opposite of multiplication. Multiplication adds numbers to itself several times. 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15. 5 times 3 equals 15. Division subtracts one number from another several times. The number being divided is the dividend. The number being divided into is the divisor. The result is the quotient. So, for example, in 15 divided by 3 equals 5. 15 is the dividend, 3 is the divisor, and 5 is the quotient. Okay. Adding, subtracting, or multiplying whole numbers always gives a whole number result. With division, however, the outcome may not be so neat. If the divisor does not divide perfectly into the dividend, such as 10 divided by 3, then the answer will be a whole number plus a leftover value. The leftover value is called the remainder. So here they would say 10 divided by 3 equals 3 with a remainder of 1. Okay, let's go on. Let's see if they give us any practice. Set up the division problem by using the division bar as shown. The division symbol means the same thing, but the division bar keeps things organized. I know that there are different ways to do this. If you have been taught a different way, that's fine. If you know how to do division, you can do it. Other countries in South America and Europe, they use a different way of doing this. Here in the United States, what we do is we draw what we call the division bar. This is our division bar. It looks very similar to the square root symbol, but you don't bring the stub up here. So here, they're dividing 2,638 by 24. So I'll write the 24 outside of the division bar. And what we'll do first is we'll take 24, and we'll see how many times does it go into 2. Well, it doesn't. 24 is larger than 2. So we'll go to the next digit and we'll say, how many times does 24 go into 26? Well, we could fit one 24 into that 26. So we'll write down our 24 below the 26 and we'll subtract the 24 from the 26. 6 minus 4 equals 2. And 2 minus 2 equals 0. I don't have to write the 0. If it helps you to write it, go ahead and write it. Now we're going to say how many times we're going to bring down the next digit. We want to bring down this 3 and write it next to that 2 there. So now we ask ourselves, how many times does 24 go into 23? Well, it doesn't because it's larger. So above the division bar, I'm going to write a 0 in this tens column. This is the hundreds column, this is the tens column, this is the ones column. Notice how in division we're working from the largest number down. We start on the left and work to the right. So now 24 does not go into 23, so we're going to bring down the 8. Bring down the next digit, and we'll write this 8. And then we'll say, how many times does 24 go into 238? And I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to say, I think it'll go 9 times. And 9 times 4 is 36. I'll write the 6, and I'll carry the 3. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 3 is 21. There. Now we'll subtract the 2. 8 minus 6 equals 2, and 3 minus 1 equals 2. And we could write this as 109 with a remainder of 22. Okay. Let's see if that's what they did. I think that's what they did. Later on, we'll see how we can take care of this remainder. We could actually call this 109 and 22 24ths, which would be reduced to 11 12ths. So we could write this as a mixed number with a whole number and a fraction, 109 and 11 12ths. But that's later on. Right now, I think they're leaving it as a remainder. So let's take a look here. Step 2, addition, subtraction, multiplication operations begin in the ones column. By contrast, division starts on the dividend's left side. In this example, try to divide 24 into 2. This operation fails because 24 is larger than 2. Next, try using the 2 leftmost digits together, 26. Divide 24 into 26. This operation works because 24 divides into 26 once. That's why we wrote that 1. Write a 1 above the 6 and write the 24 under the 26. So 1 times 24 equals 24. And 26 minus 24 equals 2. Subtract 24 from 26 to get 2. Using zeros helps keep everything aligned. So here's their 2. Bring down the next number in 2,638, which is the 3, and place it next to the 2. Determine if 24 divides into 23. We did that, and we said that 23 was smaller than 24, so we could not put it. We had to put a 0. The answer is no, so place a 0 on the answer line above the 3. Write zeros in the appropriate place value column. Since 24 times 0 equals 0, subtract the 2 numbers to get 23. We didn't bother doing that. We just went ahead and brought down the next digit, which was the 8. Bring down the next number in 2,638, the 8, and place it next to the 3. Determine if 24 can go into 238. Yes, it can, but how many times? Knowing the multiplication table helps here. Think about numbers that are easy to work with. Multiplying 10 by 24 is 240. It's close to 238, but it's still too large. However, 24 does go into 238 9 times. 9 times 24 is 216. Write a 9 on the answer line next to the 0. There's where we wrote it right there. Write 216 below the 238 and subtract to get a remainder of 22. The final answer indicates that a 24 goes to 2,638, a total of 109 times, with a remainder of 22. Write the complete answer as 109, remainder 22. Notice the discussion about how many times the number 24 divides into 238. Always remember that the answer to each individual division step should be a number from 0 to 9. If the answer is 10 or more, something went wrong. Either a multiplication error happened or the divisor really could be divided into the digit at least one full